Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to our monthly movie night. I know, getting to it at the very end of the month again. Uh, you guys probably don't mind. I mean, it's a month apart. That means every time, and Rarity Dash kind of does it this way. But yeah, so we have another monthly movie night, and this month you guys didn't get to vote, unfortunately. And the reason for that is because there's a movie I just really want to get to, and don't want to put off any longer than it needs to be, and that is Ralph Breaks the Internet. So we will be doing that today. But you will get to vote on the next one, and I will talk more about that in the afterthoughts. Because we're going to be having the voting and everything, all of that being done, the choices that end up being on the poll, that'll all be done in a separate video instead of like having the choices determined in this video. Um, or maybe I'm just not gonna make this separate video and just have it all be done here, have the poll down below and everything, rather than just do a separate video and then I'll just share it on social media. I don't know. I'll figure it out by the end. But either way, so Wreck-It Ralph, the first one, came out in 2012, and it is a phenomenal movie, one of the best of its kind. And the big reason for that is because of the just heartfelt story, the video game nostalgia, and the likable characters. And people I know who I guess you could say are like me, who have faced a lot of the same issues Vanellope had with discrimination and just constant hatred, really connected with her character, really connected with the movie because of it. And obviously connecting that to Ralph as well. So it hit a lot of us very personally, and that's why we liked it as much as we did. Um, so we have the sequel, and the sequel is Ralph Breaks the Internet. Ralph and Vanellope go online. And from what I've seen from the trailers and all, I guess the way they do so is that an internet router and shit is put into the arcade, and they go into that through the power lines and stuff. And this one obviously isn't going to be as video game focused, though there's probably going to be some game stuff in it. There's going to be a lot of product placement, especially, there's going to be a lot of Disney product placement and stuff Disney owns. The trailers, like we saw the Disney princesses, there was Marvel stuff, there was Star Wars stuff. You're going to see that kind of stuff. You're going to see a lot of references as well to various pieces of internet culture, various things like memes and comment sections, probably social media. You're going to see that kind of stuff for sure. The question is, will it be outdated? Because internet culture tends to get very outdated very quickly because things are constantly moving, constantly progressing, constantly changing. So if they do reference a lot of memes and pieces of culture that feel very outdated, that aren't like relevant to today's society and, well, today's internet culture, that's going to be why. Because animated movies take quite a while to make, not necessarily just in terms of writing, but in terms of animating, storyboarding, all of that shit. So a lot of things just are going to be outdated because of when this would have been written. And they could have done some rewrites and changed some things to more relevant stuff, maybe, but I don't know. And now the big question that a lot of people probably have is, well, a lot of people have probably had before seeing this, because I know I'm late to the party on seeing this. What exactly is the role that the Disney princesses are going to have? Because that was a big part of the trailer. It was huge, seeing all the Disney princesses together and seeing the way they interacted and talked and stuff, their designs. That was a big part of the trailer. The thing is, I really don't think it's going to be that big. I really think it might be like one moment in the entire movie, and I don't think it's going to be that big of a moment. I really don't. I mean, it's a trailer fodder shot. It's it's a scene that is perfect for the trailers. It's a scene that will get people talking. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Hell, I would honestly not be surprised if it's not even that relevant to anything happening in the movie. And it's just really just kind of this random little thing, just kind of a throwaway gag. Even in as part of maybe like a montage. Um, Hell, most of what we saw in the trailer might not even appear in the movie itself. Um, in regards to that scene. I also do know that Stan Lee has a cameo in this movie. It was one of his final cameos before his passing and everything. I know that. I don't know the nature of the cameo though. I just know it's in here. So that won't come as a surprise to me, unfortunately. Um, One of the issues with getting into this late. Though honestly, I knew about that before it came out. I don't know how many other characters from the first movie are going to appear, like Jane Lynch's character or Fix It Felix. I don't know if they're going to be a big part of this, or any of the other characters we saw. I don't know. I don't know. I assume we're going to have a lot more new characters. The trailer showed this like one like kind of I think she was either blue or purple, but she was like this kind of hip chick, like she's in with the current events and stuff. Not really pop star like, but kind of in that vein. Um, yeah, I don't know like if she's going to be a main character or just someone they meet. There's a lot I don't know about this movie, and I kind of like that. I am hoping to see a lot of good internet references, though. As someone who spends a good amount of time online every day, hell, most of the day, um, to some degree. I just, I am interested to see what they put in because there's a lot that I probably will recognize or at least understand. Um, but yeah, I am late on getting to this, but I really am excited to see it because, again, I love the first one, and hopefully this one is just as good and isn't a kind of repeat of Incredibles 2, which was just kind of subpar compared to the first. Subpar, pun reference. Well, yeah, it's a pun and a reference because, their last name is Parr. It wasn't that great compared to the first. I love the focus on Elastigirl and everything, and I liked a lot of the ideas, but it just wasn't as good, wasn't as entertaining, wasn't as enthralling. So yeah, I just hope it's not as much like that, and I want it to be much more to a really high quality sequel. But we'll see. We'll see. Um, so we're just gonna get this started. Why not? Why waste any more time? So when the screen fades to black, pause this reaction or pause the redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then it fades back in. Everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Getting emotional again. um, so in the pre-thoughts, I was questioning whether or not this would be like Incredibles 2. A sequel, a long time coming sequel to a movie that was really fantastic, but the sequel itself doesn't live up to the original. Luckily, this was just as good as the first, and in some ways better. The first movie had to deal with insecurities as well. Um, but it was more about the insecurity of self, the insecurity of who you are and where you belong. This one had to do with the insecurity of relationships. So I could see if some people would feel like it was very similar in its themes. because, you know, insecurity being a very similar theme here. But the way it was handled was different. Um, this one was more about Ralph's insecurity towards him and Vanellope's relationship together, rather than his insecurities about who he is and what he's meant for. So it's still quite different. The movie was phenomenal. It was just outright phenomenal. And I was worried. Even outside of the uh, idea that it could be like Incredibles 2 and just be more subpar than the original, um, I was worried that it wouldn't live up to it because of the internet theming. Because let's be honest, part of the first movie's appeal was the nostalgia and connection to video game culture. It was a big deal. Because gamers, we don't get as many movies that are for us. We don't get as many movies that are celebrating gaming culture and really showcasing it as this positive, beautiful thing. A lot of movies, a lot of shows in the past have even made fun of gamers. Have even said that people who spend all their time gaming are deviants in some cases. So to have a movie like Wreck-It Ralph where it celebrated gaming as a culture, as just a piece of this world and its people, was important. So I could see how some people might not be as on board with this one, with gaming not being as heavily focused in this one. But I think that was actually smart of them to do. Because while gaming it was definitely the focus of the first one, and while it was amazing to actually see such a positive representation of video games in something like this, a big name movie like this, big name Disney animated movie, there's more to the world. And just repeating that kind of formula, just having it focused on games again, even if online games, which were a factor in this, but if it was much more of the same, I feel like it would not work as well. By having the focus of this movie be the internet in general and having a large amount of different things on the internet to focus on, from viral videos to online shopping, all of that stuff, even online gaming, but all of it, even viruses are a big topic of this movie. So having the focus spread out to more than just gaming allows it to appeal to a wider demographic, for one. And for two, it allows it to come across as more relevant, which, I mean, they can both kind of go hand in hand, but still. Because that was another thing I was worried about coming into this movie. Was the references and the jokes and the gags and stuff related to online culture going to be irrelevant? Was there going to be a lot of, like, stuff that was super dated? And some of the stuff, like from the viral video part, like what videos were trending and stuff, some of it I could see as being a little dated, but most of it was pretty spot on. Most of those types of videos that were super popular that Ralph was emulating are still super popular. Like Ghost Pepper videos, yeah, they may not be as big as they were at one point, but they're still big. They're still popular. And it's like, the Screaming Goats may not be as big a thing anymore, but again, people still like them. These are still things that are relevant to people's interests. They are still things that we can all agree on are good and enjoyable. The voice actors did phenomenal, as always. The soundtrack was phenomenal. And I really think that it pulled the emotion really well. Because that was one of the biggest parts of the first movie that really, like, stuck out to me. The emotional appeal of it. And I think it handled it perfectly here. I cried. I was crying at the end. But then we get to the main theme, the main lesson. So the main lesson slash theme of the first movie was obviously being comfortable with being yourself, not letting anybody make you feel bad for who you are, and just finding solace in your own identity. In this one, it's about relationships, and specifically close friendships, and how even as we grow up, even as we move on with our lives, that doesn't mean our friendships end. That doesn't mean that we lose track of our friends. That doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that things are done, are gone, are over. We need to move on. Things change. In this case, Vanellope needed to move on. She wasn't feeling any kind of satisfaction with her life in Sugar Rush anymore. She loved the game, but she didn't feel fulfilled. She needed something, and she didn't even know what until she found Slaughter Race. A more edgy, more freestyle racing game that allows her to have more freedom in what she does. No real maps per se, but a large, sprawling city with free roaming mechanics. A lot more ability to do whatever the hell you want to do in a race. It's that freedom she was craving. That spontaneity that she so desired. She felt, as she put it, at home. Ironically enough, she felt more at home there than at her home, her original game. And that's okay. That's something Ralph had to learn. That it's okay. His insecurities, his fears of losing his friend, of not being able to see her as often, because they spent 6 years now. In real time, obviously, it's been like 6 years, but also in continuity. They spent 6 years thick as thieves, spending every day together after work. They would go to the tap room. They would just sit on the top of the building and just relax and enjoy each other's company, have fun. And that was great, but times change. And it's gonna hurt, as Ralph said. As Ralph told the virus, it's going to hurt a lot, even. But it's going to be important, and it's going to be necessary. I've said it many times, in many different videos under many contexts, but progress is necessary for human survival. No matter what the context behind it, progress is necessary for humans to survive and thrive in this world. Whether it's progress in terms of technology, whether it's progress in terms of society, doesn't matter. Whether it's progress in terms of your own life and your own career and your own desires, your dreams, your goals. Progress is necessary. Things have to keep changing. Stagnancy is death. And that was another lesson of this movie. Vanellope was just completely destroyed by the stagnancy of Sugar Rush. She needed something new. She needed to move on. And despite Ralph's insecurities about it, you know what happened when she did? Yeah, they were away from each other for a long time. But they were still setting up days to meet each other. And you know what else? They kept in complete contact. Ralph still hung out with plenty of his friends, had all these different get-togethers. Everything went well. Because progress is good. and for everyone. It's not even just about the progress that Vanellope was going through. Ralph had to progress in his own life, his own way of thinking. He had to move forward and let go of things he was clinging to so hard. He had to be able to change his way of thinking, which allowed him to experience new things, some fun things. And it worked out. It was always going to work out. He just had to let it. And I can connect to this, just like I did with the first film. I've been there. I've been very insecure. And I've had trouble letting go of things and people. But I've moved forward from a lot of it. And I know there's other people like me who are trans, who have made deep connections to the first film in regards to their journey as a trans person. And I definitely got those feelings too, even though obviously years later when I came out. But I also feel that kind of connection here. Not just because of progress in terms of my transition, but in terms of a lot of things that I've had to leave behind since transitioning. Friends that I've had to just leave in the past, basically. Because they weren't good for me in the current day, and I could not be around them. I had to move on. And it hurt. It hurt to lose a lot of those friends. But it was better in the long run. It helped me in the long run and saved me. This film really connects with me, just like the first one did. It had an amazing story, fantastic characters, both new and old, great themes, and was overall just really fucking fun. I just had fun with this. I enjoyed every moment, and I thought it was just overall great. I was worried, but clearly I was worried for nothing. Because this wasn't just another Incredibles 2 situation. This was a film that felt like it was made with the same care, attention, and love that the first was. And was made extra sure to be as good. And the question remains as to whether I would want this to have a third movie or not, this series of films. And honestly, I don't know. If a third movie could be as good as these first two were, then sure. But in all honesty, I think that this ended on a perfect note. Granted, I thought the first one did too, but with the first one, I could see a lot more of room to grow and continue on. With this one, it feels very finite. It feels very much like a conclusion. Them going their separate ways. These two who have been as thick as thieves, closer than anyone else for all these years now. They went their separate ways and they made it work, and it was a good decision for both of them. And it felt like, again, it was more final, like it really hinges on it being the end. But again, if they can make a third movie and make it great, I wouldn't be opposed. I really enjoyed this, and I'm so happy that I decided to take this month and just choose a movie. Which ironically, this next month, Rarity Dash is doing the same. He's just going to react to the, oh, what is it? My mind's going to My Hero Academia, but that's not right. Steven Universe. He's going to react to the Steven Universe movie for the monthly movie this next month because it's coming out this next month. So yeah, he's choosing to do kind of the same thing, just take a month away from the poll and choose the movie himself. But as for me, this next month we are going to have a poll. And I thought about it, about what we're going to do, because in my pre-thoughts I was unsure about how we were going to do it. And honestly, I think we're just going to do it the same way we have been doing it. Because at this point, I just don't think we really need to change that up. We don't really need to try to do anything different here. And I know the irony behind that because of me just talking about how this movie's themes were all about progress and change and all of that. And now I'm talking about we don't need to change that up and everything. Different situation and everything. And with my channel, with this channel changing a lot of things so often, I think we're fine with how we've been doing it, with like doing the deciding what's going to be on the poll in the current movie redirect, and then doing a separate video for the actual poll itself. Though I'll probably put the poll in the link to this one as well, if I remember. But yeah, we're going to determine what's going to be in there on this one. I just have to get up the list so I can randomize it. So give me a second for that. Here it is. So got to copy this. Oh, hold on, let me erase Ralph Breaks the Internet from there first. So as always, we are going to do 6 movies from this list. The top 6 on the poll, or on the randomizer, will be on the poll, and then you just vote for whichever one you like the most. So, that being said, let me real quick get up the randomizer. I'll put it in, and then I'll bring it up on the screen so you guys can see everything as well. Got to keep it fair and everything. If it comes up. Chrome's going slow right now. Must be the Wreck-It Ralph virus. Come on. Paste. Okay, there we go. Let's bring it up. Okay, and I'll scroll through it real quick to show you everything on here. It's pretty much all the same as it has been, though. There are movies that I would add on here, by the way, but I actually have to see certain movies that are already on here first. For example, one movie I want to see is Batman Hush, but I have to see Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman first, because there's actually continuity. So yeah, if there's any other movies you want me to put on the list for next time, though, please feel free to say so. And let us get this randomized. Okay, so here is also To the Forest of the Firefly Lights. I forgot to delete that. So ignoring that, here's the top 6. Basically 2 through 7, because To the Forest of the Firefly Lights we already watched. I need to get rid of that off the list. But okay, so we have the animated Doctor Strange movie. As I've said in the past, I have seen the live-action one with Benedict Cumberbatch, of course, for the MCU. I know his origin, obviously. I mean, from that, especially. But I've never seen the animated one. It is on Netflix, though, so it'll make it for easy viewing. Second option is Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman. Once again, that is on the list. It's the only one that will be 2 movies in one go. And I would be reacting to them pretty much back to back. So, yeah. Next up, we have The Secrets of Kells as our third choice. I believe it's French animated, I want to say. I don't know much of anything about it, but I've seen images and still shots and maybe a couple clips. After that, our fourth option is Digimon Adventure Tri number 3. I have seen the first two Digimon Adventure Tri movies. So I do want to see the others. So yeah. Plus, I grew up with Digimon as well, so there is knowledge there too. Number 5 is Constantine City of Demons. There is a series for this as well. But I think you can watch the series or the movie in either order. I think the movie did come first, though. And our final option, number 6, is Resident Evil Vendetta, an animated Resident Evil movie. I'm not as huge into the Resident Evil stuff as other people, but I'm willing to check it out, see what it's got in store. So those are our 6 options: Doctor Strange, Death of Superman / Reign of the Supermen, Secret of Kells, Digimon Adventure Tri number 3, Constantine City of Demons, and Resident Evil Vendetta. So once again, I will try to leave the link to the poll down in the description below. I'll bring this down as well. And either way, I'm going to be putting up a separate video for this as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. Tell me down in the comments below what you thought of Ralph Breaks the Internet. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See you all next time.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. If you want to check out any of my social media links and more, please check them out over to the side. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave those down below. In the meantime, though, thank you so much once again for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.